Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by singer, songwriter, and guitar player John Dorsch. John has been doing his thing for 45 years, so we're going to be talking to him about everything that he's up to and how he got started and all of his musical influences. So, John, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, most welcome. My pleasure to be here. I'm very happy with this.
Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Well, my home is I live in a little place called Rideau Ferry. It's on a lake outside of the nation's capital of Canada, Ottawa, about an hour away. So I'm out of the city, and I kind of like rural living. It's keeps me grounded in nature. I have a lot of nature around here, so it's a very nice nice calm place to be, which is nice. I worked in the city for years, and it was kind of the opposite. I had a career as a police officer for 31 years, and I needed to seek out places to keep me grounded, which music does that for me too.
Okay, well, speaking of that, tell us how you actually got into music. I know you talked about in your bio how you used to put the pennies on the record. So kind of tell us how you got started.
Okay, so I think it's always had a love of music. I remember even as a young child, my mother singing to me. They both played piano a little bit and sang songs. And in different languages too. My mother was Ukrainian, and my father's grandmother, and I remember them singing in the different languages. And about the age of 8, my parents bought me an accordion, so that was their vision of music for me for a while, playing polkas and things like that. So I got into that for a little bit, and as you get older and you start to reach high school, all of a sudden I began becoming aware of all this other great music like Elvis Presley, and my mother liked Elvis Presley. My father liked Bach, liked Pavarotti, and my mother operas and musicals. So there was always music going on in the radio, and we could hear rock and country on the radio, which was new and fresh. And I was really attracted to the innovators. So from what I was hearing, I wanted to learn how to play guitar. I didn't have a guitar, but I had an uncle who took me under his wing, and he took me to Kingston. I'd probably be about the age of, and I just learned how to play a couple of bar chords on a friend's guitar. He showed me how to play Maggie May by Rod Stewart, and my fingers were so sore because I'd never played before, and I wouldn't give up. So anyway, he took me to see his brother's touring band in Kingston. He was a drummer, and they had a rehearsal, and they were unbelievable. I remember as a young kid just being riveted. They played Hold the Line and Stairway to Heaven, and sounded just like what I'd ever heard on the radio. And the guitar player took me up and put his Gibson Les Paul in my hand and had me try to plunk a few bar chords for a song and that, and I've been hooked ever since. So I would take pennies and put them on the albums of my mother's turntable to slow it down and detune the guitar to try to match up the sounds. And I remember figuring out Day Tripper the first time on that, and I thought, wow, I can really do this. So I started training my ear, and I had a real ear for music, and that's sort of where it sort of started. And I got the bug right from then on. I always wanted to be. That's where it started.
Well, your wife also does music right along with you, so kind of tell us about that and what you guys do. Your motto is put smiles on faces.
That's right. We music is about joy, and you want to, if you're playing live, you want to move the listener and the entertainer. It's entertainment now. It's not just listening to music. So you want to entertain people and take them away from where they are and engage them. So that's what I hope my music does. My wife and I met at one of my shows, actually. So we both worked at the same place. She was a dispatcher for Ottawa Police. Her name is Dan. Call her Danny. She's my musical partner, and she happened to show up, and we met that way. And didn't realize I was a police officer and she was my dispatcher. I didn't know that, but anyway, funny how that works. So we we ended up getting married, and I would catch her singing, in harmony with me when I was finishing playing songs, because I started doing my solo thing because the band's all folded with the March 2020 big problem there. So I had to kind of redesign what I was going to do with music. I was always playing in cover bands, and I really wanted to do my own stuff, but could never find people to work with me. So it ended up, you've got to rely on yourself. So I just decided I was going to do it all myself. And so I, studied fingerstyle. So I don't need a bass player and a drummer. I just put all that into my music. And I have my wife here with me immensely as a great support system, and she sings with me. And it's a fabulous kind of arrangement.
Sweet. So tell us about some of your biggest musical influences that influence you to do what you do.
Okay, so it was the guitar innovators that really that inspired me. I remember, hearing, the Jimmy Page playing, on, Ramble On, and I remember hearing that song and just like, wow, that's just crazy music. You have this great electric guitar, but it's blended with acoustic, and the two weren't really together that much as I recall. So that's where I sort of started this blending of electric and acoustic. So as I could play electric, I really wanted to kind of put the two together. So fingerstyle kind of drew me to that. I remember hearing the song "Dust in the Wind," and I just want somebody playing so good. So I painstakingly learned that one note for note, listening to the album very slowly. And of course, I didn't play it right until I was later shown how to do Travis picking. But I sort of fell into this love of fingerstyle after, playing, all kinds of Van Halen stuff note for note. And I did all of that, the great guitar player kind of stuff, which was fun. But I always wanted to keep learning more about it. So I started studying theory and reading music and learning about how writing songs, reading books how to write songs, and eventually got into a bit of jazz playing. I was in a jazz band, and a friend of mine goes, you have to see this guy, Tommy Emmanuel, and showed me a YouTube video of him playing classical gas. And I was blown away. I thought, I've got to do some of that in my life. He's a whole entertainer and great guitar player. So I eventually saw him in Montreal around 2000, I guess 13 maybe, and met him backstage. He was so gracious. Gave me some of his videos. I ended up attending 2 of his guitar camps. One was in Louisiana, and got to experience some great food in Louisiana, and stay there for a week playing crazy guitar and learning everything I could from him. And it's made an imprint on my life. I'd say he's one of the biggest inspirations in my life, along with, Jimmy Page and the Beatles. Those all made a huge impression on me.
So if someone was to ask you what kind of genre your music is, how would you classify it?
It's a hybrid of, you're going to hear some, country picking guitar in there. You're going to hear rock guitar. You're going to hear, eloquent leads. You're going to hear a different, it's going to be more uplifting. I guess you'd sort of classify it as adult contemporary. I don't sing about, drinking on the back of a pickup truck or anything like that. I'm not about that. I'm more into, speaking about life themes and, inspirational themes. Like the song "Faith in Me," we've got a single out on my new album. It reached #1 on the UK iTunes Top 100 folk chart, surprisingly to me, because it was such a different song. But it's a series of inspirational things. Have faith in yourself. That a song, and it's got a catchy chorus in it, and able to sing along with it. So that's kind of what my music is. You'll hear some interesting, intense guitar playing, and a lot of melody and harmony.
Okay, let us know about any current or upcoming projects that you're working on that listeners need to know about.
Okay, so on July the 14th, just my debut album dropped. I have a 15-song original album that dropped. It's up on Spotify and Deezer and Apple Music. So you can find me there on those 2 platforms under my name, John Dorsch Music. And I've also got YouTubes out there. So we've been pretty busy. I've got a bunch of YouTubes under my website, music.com. So that's kind of a one-stop shop that'll take you to all those other places where you can stream my album, and you're going to find all those songs. It's quite diverse. The album, you're going to hear a lot of from rock to folk on there. There's three fairly intense instrumental songs that I wrote that would be inspired by John Mayer and Tommy Emmanuel as influences, if you want to understand what they might sound like. And there's lots of singing and lyrics on there, and I hope the listeners seek it out and get some joy out of it.
Well, you just answered my next question. JohnDorschMusic.com. Close us out with some final thoughts. Maybe if there was something I forgot to talk about that you would like to touch on, or just any final thoughts you have for the listeners.
Well, we just want to spread a hopeful message there. There's lots to be down about in the earth, but you have to look at everything that happens in life as a learning lesson, and it's much easier to look ahead and keep going. If you just look at I need to learn something from one, but the sun does come up tomorrow. You can redesign your life. You can create your life however, and your life is how you look at it. And I choose to look at life positively and stay grounded. And music is a great way. It's like time travel. Whenever you hear a familiar song, it takes you back to that mood when it first inspired you. So music's very important.
All right. JohnDorschMusic.com. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check out that new album. Check out everything that John's up to. Follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible. If you have any guests or suggestion topics, cjackson102@cox.net is the place to send them. As always, thank you for listening. And John, thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, thank you very much. The new album is Elevation, and the idea was to elevate and I really appreciate your time.
For more information on the Living the Dream podcast, visit www.djcurveball.com. Until next time, stay focused on living the dream.